As a young student, I used to greatly struggle with my reading fluency and comprehension while in school. It was not due to an inability to read, more that I found reading uninteresting and, and did not do the type of reading repetition needed to master the subject. In the third grade, that all changed when I stumbled upon the Harry Potter series. The lack of interest in reading turned an obsession of reading about this magical school called Hogwarts. Seeing the world of wizards, witches, and magic opened my eyes to the type of new worlds that can only be created by books. Viewing Harry's progression from the start of the series as a conflicted young person to the conclusion of the franchise, where he was a master wizard, reminded me of my own progression as a reader, and how I went from a struggling reader to a confident one. As I progressed in elementary school, I started to get into more mature books that had surprise twists, dramatic events, and mysterious relationships. No book better defined my developing taste than Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Following three orphan siblings, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, they are put to live with their evil uncle, Count Olaf. Throughout the series, it depicts the siblings trying to outmaneuver their uncle, who's trying to steal their fortune their deceased parents have left them. Reading these books showed me what characters around my age were able to overcome to avoid their evil uncle. They never gave up their quest to find out the true identity of their parents. I looked at this series as something I could apply to my everyday life, as no obstacle was as big as what Violet, Klaus, and Sunny had to endure. Also, it was the first time I saw how a book could have the same amount of twists and turns a movie could have. In middle school, as I got more involved in sports, I started to get more interested in stories or biographies of the game that I loved. From Friday Night Lights to The Boys of Summer, it helped shape and heighten my love and appreciation for sports. One book stands out from the rest for helping me develop as a reader, and that was The Chicago Bears, a complete illustrated history. It gave me first-hand knowledge of all the illustrious players the Bears have had over the years, like Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, and Dan Hampton. All the former players' statistics, biographies, and personal stories my father talked about was at my fingertips. This allowed me to connect with my father while watching sports. It helped me develop as a reader, knowing that I could obtain useful information from books and apply it to my everyday life. In high school, this is where I was introduced to some of the classic stories of our time, from Catcher in the Rye, Shakespeare, and Ordinary People. Yet the one story that made a particular impact on me as a reader was The Great Gatsby. The reason why it affected me as a reader, it was the first book that I had to reread multiple passages in order to understand the context of the story. F. Scott Fitzgerald's themes and figurative language throughout the book was difficult to grasp for a young junior in high school. After rereading the parts that confused me, the overall story started to become clearer to me. This experience made me learn that not every book is going to be easy for me to understand. It's up to me to find strategies to help better grasp this overall story. Finally, in the present time, I've really been into books of historical portrayals of the Chicago Mafia. Gangsters like Al Capone, Frank Nitti, and Paul Ricca had a large part of running the entire city of Chicago, from politics, the criminal justice system, and the workers that made up the entire city of Chicago. I found it interesting how corruption and greed can allow these type of criminals to have a large effect on everyday life of Chicagoans, and it was truly astonishing to me. How this applied to my development as a reader is that I found a topic that intrigued me I wanted to find more about. Reading is all about finding something you're curious about. With the Chicago Mile, there's always an interesting story to tell.